Craig, I heard WWDC just got announced.
It certainly did, and you're absolutely going to love what we're going to offer in iOS 17.
And what exactly are you releasing at WWDC this year?
With iOS 17, we are definitely going to be fixing all of those bugs that all of our users seem to have been having with iOS 16. It's going to be a stability year.
That actually sounds really great, especially considering all the bugs that have happened on all of our devices as of the past year due to iOS 16.
How sad was that?
Just one question. What about iPadOS?
Oh, iPadOS? We'll basically just pour the features that the iPhone got in iOS 16 over to the iPad. That's it.
That's it?
How cool is that?
Come on, Craig! This platform sucks! It is not good!
Oh, whoa, what are you talking about?
We are still missing pro apps, file management still sucks, and why is there still no calculator?
Who's to say, really?
I think we are. We've been asking for one for years.
Oh, how embarrassing is that? Let's begin.
So, WWDC was recently announced, and of course it's happening in June, as always. This time, more people are speculating on what the heck the thumbnail image of the whole event is supposed to be again. I guess last year, everyone's theory was supposedly, oh, the circle is missing the colors purple, red, and orange, which spells Pro. Therefore, we're supposed to get the Mac Pro or something. Well, I don't understand where that theory came from, because if you actually look closer at the circle, the color purple is there. I have no clue what the heck that theory was, and I'm not too sure exactly what the thumbnail has to do this time, because most of the time the thumbnails for WWDC, they don't mean anything. Like, we actually get more detailed information about thumbnails for other events like the September event, Far Out, bunch of stars, satellites. Ooh, made sense. Unleashed performance of the M1 Pro and M1 Max. Spring Forward was their spring event. All the colors on the logo had to deal with the colorful iMacs and such. Thumbnails, like, for those events and product announcements, they make sense, but for WWDC, it's never made sense. The thumbnail has never correlated to anything. It has literally just been a placeholder because, well, we have to put a cover and some kind of branding on it. Oh, I know, let's just use this image. Supposedly, the pancake lenses, as some people are describing it, supposedly it's a distorted image, therefore, we're distorting reality, therefore it has to deal with Apple's Reality Pro headset VR AR thing. I give up. I just, it's so annoying that this is what we have to talk about when WWDC is announced. So, like always with every single WWDC, I am not speculating that hardware will be announced at the event. And if there is hardware, then I will be gratefully surprised, and it'll be the one time where I really am glad that I am wrong. But as always, when it comes to WWDC announcements, I never speculate that there will be hardware announced there. And yeah, there's a lot of people that are speculating the VR AR headset has to be announced. There's been so many leaks and rumors about it, except nope, I am going to go against the grain and say it is not going to be announced there. So what about what will be announced at WWDC? It's the usual slew of stuff, which is software. You know, like iOS, iPadOS, sadly, macOS, watchOS, tvOS, you get the picture. The funny thing is, this is going to be a really short video, and that's because I actually don't really want that much out of the software. I mean, I keep saying this every single year, and that's because in terms of the usefulness, software has really improved to the point where, wow, it's really capable at this point. Except there is one major request that I basically have on all platforms, with many more requests on a specific platform in particular. You might know which one I'm talking about. But for the most part, all I'm really looking for is bug fixes, because iOS 16 has really been a bumpy release throughout the past year. Kind of like how iOS 11 has absolutely been a horrific bumpy release ever since it came out. I've been saying that we've needed an iOS 12 year. This is basically how I describe it. We've needed an iOS 12 year forever. I do not understand why Apple took so long to decide just to do an update that focuses more on stability and general refinement. Because the software has basically Basically, last time we ever got a relatively stable release was iOS 14. Despite that, that was the update that added a lot of features like widgets and such. That update was surprisingly smooth of a release. I'm relatively shocked on how stable that release actually was, considering the amount of features that it actually got. 14 was a relatively big update, especially considering that iOS 13 was not exactly the bug-friendliest update out there. iOS 15 being and then iOS 16, I'm sorry, it's getting a little annoying. Like, if I even have to report that I've been experiencing bugs on my iPhone, which I have, not just on my XS Max here, but also the 13 Pro Max that I have and am recording this video on, I've noticed that there's a bug, especially with the 13 Pro Max, where I'll shut the phone off, like just put the phone to sleep, like, you know, just push the button, goes to sleep, locks and such, and then I'll go to wake it up to check a notification, or I have a tweet that I want to make or something, and all of a sudden I push the button and nothing happens. Like, it just doesn't turn on. And I know the phone is still functioning because oftentimes when this happens, I have audio playing through my AirPods, so okay, the phone is still playing back audio, but why is it not turning on the screen? And the sad part is this is a bug that I've been experiencing basically throughout the entirety of iOS 16. It is quite annoying. Thankfully, it doesn't come up that frequently, but still, when it does come up, it is very annoying, especially when quite often I'm turning it on and actually need to use it, either to send an important text message or maybe for not important stuff too. But so the point is, it's annoying. So I really hope that this year they actually decide to focus on stability, just like they did with iOS 12. Apple has learned from iOS 12 that you don't need to release an update that is all about new features and such, especially when iOS has been gaining a lot of features. Every now and then, it's healthy to just release an update that doesn't actually focus on bringing more features. It just focuses on bringing stability to the platform. Something that, I don't know, Windows should probably be taking notes from, because I don't know if you know this, but Windows has been a really buggy platform for the past, I don't remember how many years, but for way too many years. Yeah, Microsoft, Windows kind of does deserve an update that's not focused on bringing features to the platform, but actually stability. It is the biggest thing that I ask, and it seems like Apple is the only company that actually does an okay job at bringing updates that its main feature is actually just stability. That's fine. I have zero complaints about that, especially when our phones are really feature-packed nowadays, to be honest. However, there is one platform that doesn't really qualify for this, only needs stability update, and we all know which one it is. Apple, I don't know how hard we're going to have to hit this hammer against your heads for you to eventually realize this, but iPadOS is just plain garbage at this point. Does it function? Yes. Does it function okay? Yes. But the problem is, it is a platform that focuses on doing the basics of quote-unquote professional stuff. We do have apps like iMovie and GarageBand, but they are not anywhere near as professional as Final Cut, and no, DaVinci Resolve does not solve the issue. We also have Swift Playgrounds for developing apps instead of the full-fledged Xcode, which I'm willing to bet iPads could run just fine. And why are we still missing a calculator app? Apple, it's not that hard to design one. I keep throwing out the suggestion because the iPad is the best device I could think to put this on. A graphing calculator. If you can't figure out how to lay out a scientific calculator, or, okay, yeah, definitely not a basic calculator. If you can't figure out how to lay out a calculator like a scientific one on that big of a display, when we figured out how to do it on our iPhones, let me pull this up real quick. Calculator app. Basic calculator here. Oh, look what happens when we rotate it. We can fit a scientific calculator on this iPhone. There is no reason why we can't at least get that on an iPad. And because their excuse for not doing it is, well, we can't figure out how to optimize a calculator app. We don't know the best design. Put a graphing calculator on it. If your reasoning for not including a calculator is, oh, there's so much screen real estate, we don't know how to optimize that much screen real estate for a calculator, then put on a calculator that does require a lot of screen real estate, like, I don't know, a graphing calculator per se? Just a suggestion! That, and I'm also really tired of just the iPad missing out on like some of the highlighted features that the iPhone gets every single year. Like iOS 16, we got things like continuity camera and well, various other things. Meanwhile, iPadOS, it's still always behind on this type of stuff, and it's so annoying. When widgets came to the iPhone along with the app library, did the iPad get it? Nope. You had to wait for iOS 15 to get that. There's something else that the iPhone got that was delayed on the iPad and didn't come until iOS 16. I don't remember what it was because at this point, I've genuinely stopped caring. I used to be in the market for an iPad. I'm not anymore because the software is just not good enough to justify the price of an iPad. Like even the budget iPad. I don't want the budget iPad. I care about my screen real estate, but the software just doesn't justify it. It's not good enough, Apple. And I don't know what hammer it's going to take to absolutely hammer this in your heads and realize iPadOS is not good enough. We've tried basic hammers where we've had to upgrade to mallets. What are we going to need? A sledgehammer? Is it going to take a sledgehammer to knock some sense in your heads and realize that iPadOS really needs some serious improvement? Because this is really annoying. So this is, as always, what WWDC really needs to focus on, because iPadOS is very limited and not capable and needs these things addressed. So stop glossing over the iPad like it's a children's toy, because there are actual professionals that do use the iPad and would like to use it as their only device, but can't because it's not up to snuff with being a good device. Alright, so those are my thoughts on WWDC. That's what I want to happen. Again, it's basically the same as always. iOS, macOS, watchOS, tvOS, they are absolutely fine. It's iPadOS that needs the work, and I am so tired that this is basically status quo. It's so annoying that it's always iPadOS that needs more work. So let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Do me a favor and interact with the stuff below. My name is Alpha DeWolf, Random Alpha, signing out.